Welcome back to Earth Station Trek, a show where we trek from the early days on NBC to the future on Paramount Plus and everywhere in between. I'm Charles Kelso, and it's my privilege to introduce the Earth Station Trek crew. Keith Johnson.
Gene Roddenberry is not spinning in his grave.
Alan Seiler.
Starfleet, get your Starfleet.
And Veronica Dashel.
Hi.
And we're here tonight to talk about the news that came out about Star Trek from San Diego Comic-Con 2022. And we got a lot of it.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Oh man.
Yeah. So there was a conspicuous absence of Prodigy, but
Yeah.
we got some really cool stuff from Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Lower Decks, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So where did we want to start?
Well, Keith,
DS9.
I was gonna say, I think Chuck is like anxious to talk about Worf.
Worf. Man, I've been waiting for Worf for 20 years.
Right.
I love Worf.
Yeah.
I mean, I started watching Next Gen when I was 6 years old. And then he joined DS9 when I was, 15? I mean, Nemesis was when I was 21. I just love Worf. I watched him on TV for 11 seasons,
Yeah.
plus the 4 movies, plus that time his grandfather was in a movie. I'm just really excited to see Worf. And I remember when All Good Things came out, and before it was even released, and the first image from it in TV Guide, they had a picture of old Worf. And I was like 12 years old. I thought it was the coolest thing. And now we got old Worf. I've been waiting for this since Picard came back, and he looks amazing.
Okay. We're talking about Picard season 3.
That's right.
So,
Yes.
and they did a big, well, we've known the cast. They did a cast announcement months ago in a teaser trailer, but now they've done character reveals of all the cast members, all the main cast.
Everybody
my
looks really
gosh.
good.
Yeah, they do.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that true to form, LeVar Burton is not really aging. I mean, he's in his 60s, but he looks really good.
Yeah.
But Chuck, to what you're saying, what I've seen pretty much on the internet is the focus is on how Worf looks, because there's all this that look, and what does that mean about what he's doing? And he looks like the old warrior, and that's the one that I hear so many people talk about, is that look.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, forgive the language. He looks badass.
Yes.
He does.
Mhm.
Yes.
He looks like that weathered,
Yes.
battle beaten, oh my gosh. He just looks so amazing.
Yeah.
So he's got a sword on his back.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The sword is made by the same guy who came up with the Batleth.
Awesome.
And we have been told that, yes, we will see him using that on screen.
They better.
Yes. Oh, I know, exactly. And he's got a new sash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Looks very, very impressive.
Yeah. It still has the House of Martok insignia on it.
Right.
Yeah. And I've seen some people complaining because they say, because there's discrepancies about the way Klingons age. And they're saying he shouldn't look as old as he does. But for one,
I know.
Klingon aging has never been consistent, but also he looks freaking amazing.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I love that shock white look of. I
do too.
think he just looks great, and he
I
looks
do
like
too.
Worf. I mean, there were some concern that they wouldn't keep the original Klingon look, Well,
Right.
not the original
Right.
Klingon, but the Worf
original
look,
Worf look.
right?
Yeah. Classic
Yeah,
Worf look.
I mean,
Right.
literally, nobody wants him to come back looking like a Discovery Klingon,
No.
and that's not a criticism of them, but
That's not Worf.
yeah, he looks like Worf. It looks great.
Hey, Alan, you mentioned the sword on his back.
Yep.
The coolest location for a sword is on the back. I mean, there's all kind of places you could wear a sword, on your leg, on the side, on the hip, whatever. But on the back, that's the way to go with it.
Yeah.
Villain or hero.
That's right. All right. So Elaine says, yes, LeVar looks good.
Yep.
You know it, sister. Matt says, do we think including Brent Spiner might have spoiled how he's going to appear?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%, because we know he's not going to be Data.
Yep.
Right.
And
Well,
that-
Killed Data again.
right.
See, when we talked about this before, and I was sort of on the side of he's going to be
B4,
on the suit
haha.
again.
Ah,
But I was sort of on the side
Good
that he would
catch.
be Alton Sung again from Picard season 1. But thinking more about it, man, I mean, there is nobody out there who wants to see the entire TNG cast reunite with Alton Sung.
Nope.
right.
I
That
agree.
seems so anticlimactic.
Yeah,
Like you got
Agreed.
Worf and Crusher and LaForge and hi, I'm Alton Sung, mad scientist. Nobody wants that.
no, no.
I mean, I feel like maybe there's going to be some version of Data, a hologram
I
from
agree.
Data, or an AI. I feel like there's going to be something.
I agree. I'm sure there will be, but we know from that voice clip in the first teaser that he's doing something that isn't Data.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
So
Randall?
I
All's
think-
probably in it, but I'm hoping that they have actual data of some sort.
Mm.
Randolph Kroom says, but don't Klingons have a longer lifespan than humans? That is true, but you
That
know,
is true.
there are plenty of humans who go gray way earlier
Right.
in life than other people do. And so, you know, and plus, I think Worf has just lived a harder life than a lot of other people.
Right.
I mean,
True.
even amongst Klingons, you know, who all pretty much live rough lives. I
Yeah.
think that Worf has really had like not only the physical, but sort of like the emotional pressure
Mhm.
that maybe has, you know, physically aged him a little bit more than other Klingons might have. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. And, I mean-
Also, yeah, by the time of Picard, how old will Worf be? 70?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Thereabouts.
Yeah, 70 or so. And I don't know how long the Klingons live. I know Kang and Kor and all those. Well, yeah, goodness, they were 100 and, what, 100,
Yeah.
130, 140.
I was
But
going to say 150 is what I've always read
Yeah.
in like
100.
role-playing games and stuff like that. 150 is sort of the expected
that
lifespan.
makes sense. But
Yeah.
my wife and I joke sometimes about some real life actors who look kind of old when they're young and then they never age. If you look at Samuel Jackson, when he was like 30, he kind of looks like he does now. He had what you
Yeah.
call a young old man face or old young man face, and then he
Yeah.
just kind of stopped aging. So I think Worf looks fine. And I think, like you
Oh, I
said,
think-
Alan,
Yeah.
between Federation and all the other stuff he may have gone through, and for all you
Mhm.
know, he's married a couple other women who've died because it seems to be his thing. Who knows what kind of stress he's gone through?
Wow.
Well, come
I
on,
mean,
they
like-
kept, they put her with a woman and she die.
Right.
And like Steve Martin was gray when he was like 25. You know, like that's true.
Absolutely.
I mean, they could have just made Worf given Worf black hair, and that would be fine because Klingons live for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he
I
looks
think it looks
amazing
great,
with
yeah.
that shock white hair. He
Mhm.
looks
He
awesome.
really does.
For this being most likely the last time that we see the TNG folks on screen, I think this is the most powerful and most distinguished look they could have given him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
And
All right,
I'll say
Matt?
too that I'm
Sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
I was gonna say real quick that Frakes is looking great from that preview picture. He looks like he's
Mhm.
slimmed down quite a bit. He
Mhm.
looks great. I mean, more like Riker even with sort of the more slender looking face. So I'm excited to see Riker as well.
Interestingly, Matt Sweatman says, plus to me at least, Riker looks considerably older than Picard season 1,
Okay.
which I don't know. I mean, he does. Hang on, let me get that picture back up here.
Well, it's that whole thing about how people age differently. You remember
Yeah, yeah.
the joke? Remember the joke people always do? How in the series they showed old Picard and then real life Patrick Stewart and older Wesley in real life, and Will Wheaton. And neither one of them looked like what they were projected to look like.
Right. So he does have a much more slender face. Now, these are like glamour shots. So,
Right.
they
Right.
may be touched a little
Mhm.
bit. you know.
LeVar Burton, I gotta say, LeVar Burton looks pretty much like that.
I know, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, so does Gates McFadden, and in the
Yeah.
panels, she looks fantastic.
Shoot. Oh, man. Yeah.
Right.
without
And
a
of course,
doubt.
Jerry Ryan is aging really well. I mean, she's in her 50s. She looks really good too.
Oh, yeah.
They all look great. I gotta
Yeah.
say, one thing I don't know if I've mentioned much is I actually stay away from a lot of spoilers, and so I don't follow a lot of stuff. I'll be honest, until y'all told me just the other day, I didn't even know that Rafi and Seven were going to be featured prominently, like in the cast like that in this season, and I like it. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool. I think the show, if done well, has potential to give everybody kind of the arc or the level of seriousness and acting ability that they deserve. I saw an interview with Gates McFadden and Patrick Stewart, just the two of them talking to a reporter at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And Gates McFadden said this was literally the best material that they've ever had for Crusher. Like,
Yep.
wow. And that
Which-
gives me hope.
Yeah. I'm excited about that because
Me too.
I really feel like, first of all, whether it's the two women characters or whether it's the two caretaker characters, I felt like the TNG 7 years never really got a handle on Crusher or Troy.
Absolutely.
Not to the depth that they may have other characters, And so I'm really anxious to see what it is that they're doing with these characters to have lured these actors. Not that it would have taken a lot to lure those actors back, because
especially Dorn.
well, no, I was just gonna say especially Marina, because she was like, when TNG wrapped and they finished that first movie, because they went directly from one into the next, that they basically had to tell her, Marina, you have to go home. We are tearing the sets down right now. You have to go. And she was like, I don't want to leave. So
she was crying and stuff, I hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and in those interviews that Keith was talking about, where Patrick and Gates is saying, I mean, how long has it been? 40 years? I don't even know how much she loves being associated with Star Trek.
Yeah.
So, I think that whatever it is that they're doing with these characters in season 3, I'm really excited to see what it's going to be. Give these folks some meaty material to work with.
I know that detractors of shows like Discovery and so forth throw the word woke around, which I've come to hate personally. Just like I came to hate the term politically correct used improperly. But I do think that Gates and Marina, the opportunities for them do showcase sometimes the need for diversity behind the scenes, because those shows are primarily written by men. And I do remember I saw some early treatments of Sirtis, this character, Deanna Troi. And Deanna Troi in early treatments was written as a genius. But that never really came out, other than the one time she played Data in chess or whatever, and she beat him. And kind of, sort of, when she was on the Romulan ship as a spy. And then another episode, she was babbling about the singularity that they use. Those are the only hints of that brilliance. And then, of course, we all know that Troy was frankly abused so much throughout the series and the movies, with the mental abuse and the physical abuse. And the episode today was on Next Generation. Yeah, well, yeah, there's that. Yeah. And so I hope they can redeem. And then in the Next Generation finale, she was dead in the alternate future, which is also a weird move. And then he left. It was what's the thing? The Bechdel test. And then you kind of a reverse Bechdel test, because then you had the men basically saying, "Oh well, she's dead, and we'll never get along again." So I'm really excited to see what happens for her, and I'm also excited because I remember Gates McFadden in that alternate future from All Good Things was a captain of a ship, of a medical starship. I'd love to see something like that. I've read a lot of old science fiction that talks about medical starships, hospital ships, and stuff. You don't see them a lot in science fiction.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of possibilities here.
Yeah. And Marina was fantastic in Picard season 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she has some of the best material that she's ever been given.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I would love to see them for a whole season. I'm really looking forward to it.
I want a Riker's spinoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't care.
I mean, I'd be good with just his daughter.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Can we please see her in season 3?
Please, please.
God, she was amazing.
I will say that when I saw the trailer for Picard, it took me back. It gave me a good feeling, but also all of these actors, including Rafi and the woman who plays Rafi, whose name escapes me, and Jerry Ryan, everybody on the screen was just kind of like serious. It's almost like you're getting a stage full of Shakespearean actors.
Yeah.
And I instantly just felt, wow, this could be really good if they write to these people.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to that. Everybody holds the stage, everybody holds the screen in that cast, and I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Matt chimes in and says, they say Worf is using that new weapon. Maybe he fights Riker for Troy.
Oh boy.
I'd be all for it, buddy.
No.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
All right. Well, we'll move on to Lower Decks.
I
DS9.
suppose.
They're going to freaking
hang on.
Deep Space. Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's get
Go
one
ahead.
more shot just to look
Okay.
at these
Yeah.
glorious
And-
faces.
And
One
as you
more time.
transition from that, Charles, is Will Wheaton not in Picard at all? Do we know? Did they say?
That sounds like the case.
Not that we
Huh.
know of, but I
Interesting.
wouldn't rule it out.
Exactly. Now,
I mean, we saw
another
what they did with
thing.
them last season, so
Yeah.
Another thing is they have said that there will be references to Denise Crosby with some of, I don't know what character. It might be Yar, it might be Selah. I don't know. I don't know that she's in it. I certainly hope that she is in it in some way. But they say that there will be some callback to her.
That would be great.
It would be fantastic. So Lower Decks season 3. Oh,
Awesome.
first of all, that trailer is so amazing, but the best part of that trailer. Oh,
Yes.
Yes. They're going to freaking Deep Space Nine.
yeah.
Deep Space Nine, buddy.
And it has been confirmed they are going inside, and
Yep.
they are walking around the promenade, and you will see some people in it.
Yep.
That's right. Familiar
Familiar
faces.
faces.
Exactly right. Oh,
So Quark, Morn.
Yep. Quark and Morn are my main requirements.
Yeah,
You
I
know-
think. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I think that Morn is he's got to be sitting there. You
Yeah,
can't
right.
go in DS9 but I think Quark would fit in really well with the Lower Decks characters.
Plus,
Yeah.
they're on the
Absolutely.
promenade, and you know that those guys love to hang out at a bar. There's got to be Quark.
Right.
And I'm hoping that there will also be an Odo keeping an eye on these people.
Well, not when it's set, unless Odo's come back from the link. 'Cause
Well,
this is
yeah.
what
That
4 or
is
5
true.
years
I
after
wasn't thinking
DS9
about
ended.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
So they
That's
should
true.
be 4 or 5 years after DS9 ended. I want to see if is Colonel Kira in command at the station.
Oh man.
Or didn't Ensign Rowe end up on the station at some point?
In the books,
Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that's not is that not official
they,
canon?
they,
Then?
they don't have to follow the books.
No,
They
they're-
could,
Yeah.
but
no.
I would love for Nog just to be seen in the background.
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
love a little wink at Nog.
Right.
I'm really looking forward. To it. I think the season looking fantastic.
Yeah.
Matt Sweatman chimes in and says, I don't think they've managed to create so much Lower Decks buzz before.
Yeah.
I mean, DS9, and then also the crossover.
Right.
Okay, hang on. Let me get to that because we got. Boom! Look at that. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
And they hinted at either way that
Yep.
they could be playing real world or the Strange New Worlds could be 2D.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen, and I really hope they do both. Like there's a crossover of Lower Decks into Strange New Worlds, and there's a Strange New World crossover into Lower Decks.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
That's the way it sounded from the panel because it sounded like at the very least Mariner and Boimler will be in live action.
Yeah.
And I mean, Anson Mount made it sound like that Pike's going to be in 2D.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
I can't
And
wait to
they-
see the Lower Decks version of Pike's hair.
I know, right?
Yeah. And
He
they
was
all
asked about
said,
that at SDCC as well.
yeah.
That was so funny.
And Anson said that, you know, when they said this is what we're thinking of, this is what we're going to do, he wasn't sure. But then they told him the idea behind it, and he was like, that is so clever. I am so on board. So, man, I'm looking forward to whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But that just means more Lower Decks, because we know we get 10 episodes of Lower Decks, and now we get a bonus, a Lower Decks bonus on Strange New Worlds. The more Lower Decks, the better it is for me.
Yeah.
Heck,
Do we
And
think
to
it'll
me-
be comedic, or what?
Yeah.
How do we think the
Yeah.
tone will be?
Yeah,
I can't
think
imagine
so.
it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I mean, but Lower Decks has done that. They're okay. I mean, Strange
Right.
New Worlds has done that. They're okay with doing the more comedic episodes as
Yeah.
well. So I think the tone would probably be about like that episode you hated, Keith, or or the Spock Amok episode. I think it's sort of that tone. I think would work just fine.
Yeah.
But to me, I mean, it's the two best of the modern Star Trek shows meeting. So I'm really excited about that.
Yes.
Right on.
Yes.
Now,
And all
Elaine.
of the,
Oh, sorry.
sorry,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No,
I was
you
going to say that all the stuff that was in the trailers and Chuck and I were Chuck was pausing it and pointing out all these things to me, and I was like,
You're back in lower decks now.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elaine seems excited about animated Space Daddy. Heck yeah. And Randolph Kroom says, I like it when the actors dressed as their characters. Yeah, so they have appeared at a convention in full uniform
Yes.
and complete with Boimler purple hair. So, it's not a stretch to have these people when they have taken it upon themselves to appear in, live action as their characters at a convention.
I
They're
love
ready.
that too.
Yeah, they're ready for it, obviously.
Yeah.
That cast is like super Star Trek fans. Like a lot of the other cast are Star Trek fans, but
Mhm.
this is like super Star Trek fans, like the entire cast basically.
Well, also, I mean, dressing up in uniform as their characters is a novelty for them because they don't do that when they go to work.
Yeah,
The others will
yeah.
do that for 10 months out of the year.
Right.
You don't want to
Yeah.
put on your uniform and then go to a convention. You want to be in your street clothes.
Right.
But for them, it's a fun thing to do to dress like their characters.
Yeah.
Right. And they just, in their pajamas, go into the recording booth and
Right.
spend 1 week recording 10 episodes and they're done.
Yeah. And not together.
Yeah.
So just
Exactly.
being together is fun for them.
Yeah.
Right. So,
I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say that, I just blanked on his name, but the Boimler actor said that he's never even met
Jack
Eugene
Quaid.
Cordero. Jack Quaid said he's never even met Eugene Cordero in person
Really?
to this day. Yeah,
Wow.
Oh my gosh. That's insane.
I know.
Was that primarily COVID related because of that?
I
Yeah.
guess so. And I mean, plus the
doubt it.
animation works. You don't, well, during COVID, they for sure weren't recording together,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
just animation generally. I mean, you don't often record everybody together.
And they just haven't had any convention appearances together.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the
I
ones
guess-
that they have had, he's not been there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true because I know there's that it's old school, and I know Brad Bird, who did The Incredibles and stuff,
Mhm.
always tried to get all his cast in the same studio to record
Right.
together. Some people with old school views think it's better, but I guess
Yeah.
nowadays that just wouldn't happen. So I hadn't even thought about that.
A lot of times it's done over Zoom. So,
Oh, okay.
and at least for like some of the productions, the way they do it is that they ship equipment out to the actors and then they just do a Zoom call and so they're not in a booth next to each other, but they're on Zoom and they see each other and they
Okay.
can react to each other that way. So that's
Yeah.
probably what they've done with this.
Okay. When I was looking at the Lower Decks trailer, did you notice the scene where she burst into the I guess it's the dining hall where they're eating, and she makes this big pronouncement, and he says, "You timed it," and so forth.
Yeah.
Did you notice that did you notice the hot sauce on the table?
Yes.
Yeah. Catch yourself white.
White.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
And they're
funny
at
with the Easter egg.
Cisco's.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cisco's
Yeah.
was it Creole? Creole was it something like that? Or-
Mhm.
yeah, that was very
Yeah.
funny too.
And I love their civilian costumes. I love that they're
Yes.
just
Yeah.
going all in on like the 90s Trek civilian costumes, like their
Yes.
outfits.
Yeah, but it looked good. You guys were mentioning D Space Nine on that Lower Decks trailer. Just before that's that really brief moment where they're being chased by a Romulan ship.
Yeah.
That looks freaking phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I replayed that a couple of times, and it almost looked like it was photorealistic or something. But that was
It
an
really did.
amazing shot. Yeah, their battle scene, their battle stuff is just amazing. Some of the best battle scenes I've ever seen in Trek. Period.
And at one point, they're flying a Delta Flyer.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Tom Paris coming back?
Oh, if only. If only.
But you know who is coming back in some capacity is J.G. Hertzler as Martok.
Yes.
That's right. We saw him.
And you know what it looks to me, because I kept pausing it, rewinding it, and things. They're playing this Klingon game, and it looks like he's on the monitor, which made me think of the old game that Gowron was in, the VCR game. But it looks like
Right.
they're playing a Klingon game, and General Martok is the character leading him through the game, which is just hilarious.
And I
That
don't know
is
if you
awesome.
paused that, but Boimler has like they have like costume and stuff on, but Boimler has like the headpiece with the hair like
Right.
half covering his hair. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed
So-
that.
Yeah, so you need to pause it like right as they're going, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently, I mean,
Yeah.
I've paused a lot in that trailer, but apparently I missed that frame.
It just looks so much fun, and they just have so much fun making Star Trek,
Yeah,
which is
Yeah.
just great because I have fun watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly right.
Same here. And that's just what, a month from now? Even a little slightly, is it August 26th?
August 25th.
Yeah.
25th.
So-
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A month from now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we're
That's
gonna be back
amazing.
on Star Trek all year.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the thing I'm
Yeah.
most excited about from the trailer is the clown Klingons with batleths for hands.
Exactly.
I know.
Oh, that was
That is
creepy.
wacko.
I was trying to
Yes.
talk her into cosplaying that because that would be an amazing cosplay is to be a clown Klingon with batleth hands.
I'm making
Uh,
puppets.
She wants to make puppets of them.
Yes.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's detailed for a puppet.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
can
Do
do
you have
it.
any
No, you
comments?
can't. Huh? Nope.
Any comments?
Nope. We got 'em
Oh,
all.
okay. Okay, great.
Well, actually,
Well,
there
the-
is one that we hadn't got to, and that is
Oh.
Matt Sweatman says, I'd love it if the Lower Decks characters commented on their live action look as if something was screwed up. Oh, I'm sure that's going to happen.
I really, you know what? I want the two number ones to meet.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious because they're married in real life. And
Mm.
I mean, it's just,
But she's not number one now.
Well-
by the time they cross over, I'm sure she'll be back.
Right.
I hope so.
Right.
I don't think she's really going to be in jail.
Not for long.
No. And I love the bit where they're stealing the Cerritos. They're pulling a Star Trek 4 and
Yeah, baby.
or Star
Yeah.
Trek 3 and
3,
stealing
yeah.
the Cerritos. Yep.
Yep. Oh, I'm loving it.
And there was
Yeah.
a brief scene where you're just talking about the first officer. He rips his shirt off again for some
Yep.
reason. Which
Because why not?
exactly.
And he's all glistening and like he shines.
Glowing.
I love
Yeah.
it. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
So I
trailer.
mean, so you want to move on over to Strange New Worlds aside from the Lower Decks crossover?
Yeah.
Because we could talk about that Lower Decks trailer all day.
Yeah, we could.
Well, we certainly should, and we have time. But yes, let's
Okay.
jump over to the Strange New Worlds.
Did you watch? Did you guys see the panel?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
'Cause it was
Um,
on Paul. Go ahead.
Some of it, not all of it.
Yeah, it was on Paul Wesley's birthday.
Yeah.
And so Christina Chong led the audience in singing to him, and then he was sort of laughing it off and saying, I made her promise that she wouldn't do that, and she did it anyway. And then they brought out a cake. They had a Star Trek cake for him at the panel.
I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of the panel, did you? I'm sure you did. Notice Ethan's shirt.
Oh yes, sure.
Yes.
It
Yes.
says, I thought this was brilliant. It says, my species initiated first contact, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. That is genius.
Yes.
I really hope we're gonna see some Vulcans walking around Dragon Con with that T-shirt, and all they need is
Oh.
the Vulcan ears and the shirt, and
Yeah.
they're good to go.
Oh, that's a
That'd
great
be
idea.
perfect costume.
Yeah.
I could pull that off. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
a costumer, so but that's easy.
Yeah.
Put some ears on
Yeah.
and wear a t-shirt, which I'm going to wear anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Cosplay Ethan Peck.
I can't pull off Ethan Peck.
Isn't that the truth? Buddy, not me.
Oh man.
Not me.
Yeah. And then Paul Wesley was talking in the panel that he's making a point of the fact that the Kirk you saw in season 1
Mhm.
was an alternate universe Kirk.
Right.
That now he's going back to play younger Kirk. And I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds to me like he's very aware of. I mean, there's people on the internet who didn't care for his Kirk,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
make
There was
no
a
bones
sizable.
about that.
Yeah, there was a sizable
true.
amount of criticism on his Kirk.
Right. So he was making it clear that we're not the alternate universe Kirk anymore. He's playing younger Kirk. It's going to be more
Right.
fun. He seemed to be, to me, it seemed like he was stressing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is, and I think that, and I know that they did it for the story purposes, but I feel like it was really a disservice to him to start him out as
Yeah.
an alt Kirk, and not the way that he will be playing the character for realsies.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of a
Yeah.
shame that he
And-
had to take all that flack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's
Okay.
doing a good job. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said before, he didn't really jive with me yet as Kirk, but it's not the first time that's happened. I don't think he's doing a poor job at all. And so I hope people
Yeah.
don't
I
keep
think
giving him a
overall
hard time.
he was doing a great job. I really enjoyed his alternate portrayal of Kirk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Matt is asking, does James Kirk become a part of the crew? If not, will it feel shoehorned if he's a regular? I don't think he's going to be either of those things. I don't think he'll be crew or regular.
Mm-mm.
No.
And he said that he's a lieutenant on the Farragut, which makes sense for where Kirk is.
Right.
And
Right.
the set photos we've seen were him running around with Christina Chong, who we
Yeah.
know is not on the ship. So I mean, he could very well be in several episodes and not even meet the
Exactly.
Enterprise crew yet.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, we don't really know. I mean, I don't think he's gonna come on board and be the new helmsman or anything.
No, I don't
That
think
would
so.
be a
No, I
little
don't think
silly.
so.
But
No, wouldn't that be interesting to have him and Sam serve on a ship together?
yeah. It would. Yeah, I'm looking forward to season 2 of Lower Decks. Did they give us any more indication of what to expect? Just
You
sort
mean
of.
see Strange New Worlds?
Oh, Strange New Worlds. They're all running together, man. I can't keep them straight.
I feel like we didn't really get a whole lot of any kind of concrete stuff to go on for
Same here.
Strange New Worlds other than
Yeah.
the
Right.
crossover. That's really the only
Mhm.
big reveal that we got for that.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad. I don't want to know too much this early.
Yeah,
You know?
because we just finished the first season.
Right.
And I mean,
Right.
and based on the production timeline we know of, it's likely that we're going to get Lower Decks, more Prodigy, Picard before we even get to Strange
Exactly.
New Worlds. Now we don't know
Yeah.
that for sure, but
Yeah.
they're smart. They don't want to blow all of their promotional eggs
Mhm.
right now. You know, they're
Oh,
holding
no.
some stuff back.
No, they got yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I like to see the crew all together in person at a convention, though, having a good time, posing for pictures. You know, the fans can get up and tell them how great they are. I love that.
Right. And I like seeing the Strange New Worlds and the Lower Decks cast interacting with each other. You
Right.
know, like they're a family, you know, like they're part of each other. And in one of the was it Entertainment Tonight? One of the interviews, not the main stage, but one of the press interviews of the Strange New Worlds guys, the girl asked, which one of you is the biggest, you know, Trek nerd in the cast? And they all said Anson. They're like all pointing.
Oh, really?
He says, you know, I'll take that. I am, but I am nothing compared to Tawny Newsome.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Matt-
and go ahead.
I was going to say, Matt Sweatman says, I feel they're keeping Strange New World season 2 close to their chest. And yeah, because they've only really just finished shooting and
Yeah.
they have a long post-production to go and it won't air until, you know, later on next year. So yeah, there's plenty of time for that to come later on.
I agree, Matt, because I'm not sure, to the question you asked earlier, I'm not sure how much Kirk will be in there, how much Kirk should be in there. If what
Well,
they try
we know
to
your
do,
answer to how much he should be in there.
yeah, for me, he should show up in like the last 5 minutes of the last episode.
Exactly.
Although maybe I wouldn't complain if they gave us the cloud that eats blood episode that they always talked about. I mean,
Yeah, the dicronium cloud creature.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind something like. And like to your point, I have no idea how much they're going to do with Una. How long is that storyline going to go? If it's a long time, but if it's one episode, kind of like spoilers for Dave's son, Julian Bashir, when you found out that he was genetically engineered, that was solved in one episode. So yeah, yeah, I don't know how that's going to go either.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
do hope
I mean,
that one is carried out a little bit, though. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't want it to be the whole season or anything. I don't want her to
Right.
be separate from the crew for the whole time.
Mhm.
But I do want to have it, you know, be meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's I don't know where the balance is because
Mhm.
there's like I said that in a couple of the shows last year, I felt like the storyline dragged. They should have
Yeah.
moved it along a little faster. But then in Strange New Worlds, there were some storylines that I felt moved too fast. So I feel like I'm just
Absolutely.
complaining all the time. You know, like, nothing makes this guy happy. But
We're
you know,
fans with a podcast. It's our
Right.
jobs.
Yep.
Our
complain
unpaid
about every
jobs.
episode. Right. I'm really looking forward to all the shows, though. I'm really jazzed about everything that they're showing.
Yeah.
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 So one other thing that we got out of whichever part of the panel it was is that there are definitely 2 new series in development as we speak. I think it's, you know, probably safe to say that one of them is probably the Section 31 because that's been talked about forever.
Yeah.
So it's likely that that's one.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean,
exactly.
that one seems to be a little bit further on the back burner every time they talk about it.
Every
you
time.
know?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
still out there. It's over here now.
Yeah. Right.
And
I mean-
I remember someone asked about finding out what the DS9 characters are doing, and they seem to him and haw at that. They're like, how can we do this without spoiling? And I'm like, well, you just spoiled it right there.
Yeah, well, and what he said, and I posted this in our group, was he said that Cisco's very important. It's not a direct quote, but Cisco's very important. It's important to
Right.
legacy characters. I don't want to say more. I was like, man, do not tease me with Cisco. You know
I
what I
know,
mean? Like,
right.
Because that's
just-
like the holy grail. That's like the most
Yeah.
unlikely one to happen.
and either any Cisco. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Captain Cisco would be the one I want to see the most, but I'd be happy with any of the Ciscos.
Absolutely.
Um,
Brock Peters is no longer alive, isn't that right? Or is he
that's
still?
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, he passed
Okay.
away several years ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's so
Yeah.
sad. 'Cause I mean, now that, I would love to have him at least voicing his character in Lower Deck since they're at his restaurant.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
that would be so wonderful.
My favorite couple of all the Trek for many reasons are Benjamin and Cassidy. But Penny Johnson, I'm watching her over on Orville. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And also, I don't know if y'all, I haven't read many of the books, but I have read like synopses of the books. And I will say that the crap that they in my opinion, the way they write Cisco and Cassidy's future after Deep Space Nine kind of sucks.
Yeah.
They go through a lot of they go through issues. I think they ultimately resolve it, but it's
Yeah.
not something that, it's just one of those like, oh man, can anybody just stay together and be happy?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Well, I
not
mean-
good storytelling.
Thank you. Thank you. Staying
Yeah.
together and being happy does not create drama.
But every now and then I want that one couple, that nuclear
agree
couple
with
that
you.
stays together. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
agree.
yeah.
I feel
Um,
more invested in a couple and the characters when they're happy and when they're getting along and when they're, united.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's
All
funny
these
Find
too.
old
conflict
romantic.
elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, you can have people. Yeah, all right, you can have conflict around, but I always kind of like to have at least one nuclear couple that people can kind of look to. It's interesting, y'all are talking about. We're talking about Cisco, and earlier we were talking about Wesley Crusher. You have two time traveling beings whose futures we're wondering about because Wesley is a what is he? Is he what they call him a watcher now?
A
Or-
traveler. Yeah. Oh,
A
yeah.
traveler.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's got those time-space problems. And then Cisco is part prophet. Then he, at the end of the series, he uttered that, what was it? I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you yesterday or some kind of whatever thing like that. So he's got the powers too. Although I think we know that in the future he ends up back on the starship. And I've always got kinds of questions about what's up with that because he's got
That
those
happened
powers.
in the books, but that's actually
Yeah.
a good transition because they also
Mhm.
announced a new comic series
Oh,
from
okay.
IDW, and they're starting over from Star Trek #1. They just, they're building up to the number 400, and they're starting over again with Star Trek #1. And
Okay.
this one is like a big crossover comic where Cisco is back, and he's the captain of a ship called the Theseus, I believe.
Okay.
And Crusher's there. I don't think it's in continuity because Crusher's there, Data's there. Basically, it's something's happening to all the gods in the Star Trek universe, and Cisco is on a mission to figure out what's going on. Is my understanding.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting because
Yeah.
we've always had those sort of like random here and there god figures other than Q, who was a recurring thing. And it's interesting to build a storyline around these, this group of characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more interested in Cisco. I mean, frankly, with the DS9 storyline than I am going off on a new adventure. I guess it still involves his like role with the prophets and everything.
Yeah.
But if Cisco were to come back, I want to see more of Bajor, the Cardassians, the Dominion. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Agreed.
But you know what though? And this
Cassidy.
is sort of circling back a little bit, but on Twitter, Terry Metalis has been dropping little teasers and stuff and answering those questions, and he indicated that in the books, Worf had become captain of the Enterprise, which I don't really care for, but because I mean, I like the idea that in Change of Heart, when Worf sacrificed his career to botch the mission to go back for Jadzia, I would love to see that lasting. I mean, I'm not gonna be mad if he's a captain. He's got 4 pips, but I kind of like the idea that Worf is just never going to be a captain and is okay with that because he went back for Jadzia and made that choice.
Right.
But anyways, but they indicated that he's on a different mission when we find him in Picard season 2 or 3. But it involves the Dominion in some way or May.
Interesting.
So, I mean, that's based on the tease that Terry Metalis gave. Now, who knows? Maybe it's something tangentially related to that. But I would love it if I would love to see a Jim Hadar. I know. I'll be honest. or of Florida. I want to see Wayoon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that speaking of Wayoon, I would really like to see Garrick on Lower Decks.
I would love to see Garrick on every show.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Charles, I actually read today, and I think it might have been Terry Vitalis. I actually read today that they said that Worf is not a captain, or hasn't been a captain, despite what people said they thought they saw on the pips that he had.
Yeah, it looks in the picture like he has 4 pips, but if he's not a captain, I'd be perfectly happy with
it's
that.
It's corn.
Yeah.
It's corn.
Oh, there's that.
Right. And he could be a captain, but not captain of a ship.
True.
Yeah.
He could hold the rank, but be serving in some different way.
Right.
Right.
Scotty did that.
Right.
Yeah.
Matt Sweatman is saying, it being Lower Decks, they can probably get away with not explaining what happened at all. I was going to say the same thing to the DS9 characters, except Boimler data dump in quick 5-second speech.
Yeah.
I mean,
true. That's true.
And I was thinking that with Garrick, I think it would be funny just to have him show up in random places.
Right.
And like just show up on Discovery. No explanation.
Right.
No idea why he's there or how he got there. Just put him there for a scene and then leave. I would love it.
I would love it too if Boimler just walked into the wrong room and it was a briefing of the entire like current DS9 crew, Colonel Kira, and they all just look at him and he has to like back out and they don't even say anything.
Yeah.
It's just like it could be Kira and Nog and whomever else around the table, like just so we can see that they're all there.
Yeah.
That would be brilliant.
Amazing. Amazing. All right. So what else do we have from the weekend? Anything else?
Well, I mean, Keith sort of alluded to this. And I was going to at least mention Shatner's comments.
Oh, yes. Let's do it.
Because that's been going around.
Yeah, let's do it.
And people have been using it as justification of Shatner trashes Kurtzman Trek and stuff like that. And then other people are saying, well, Gene didn't like Star Trek 2 or Star Trek 6. My thought is, I guess twofold. One, if you believe that William Shatner has ever sat down to watch an episode of Star Trek that he wasn't in, then I have a bridge for sale that you may be interested in.
Thank you.
But also, and this is not to disparage Shatner, but he's kept himself working and visible in the entertainment industry for literally 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I looked today and his first IMDb credit is from 1951, which is the year my father was born. And he's been working all this time. Yeah. And so he knows how to keep himself in the public eye.
Oh,
yep.
He knows he can go on a panel and say Gene will be rolling in his grave and F Star Wars, and he's going to be trending for the next 3 months. Right. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's all he has to do.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't put a lot of stock in it. I don't really hold it against him. That I mean, he's 91 years old and he's keeping himself out there. But I don't believe that he's sitting down watching season 2 of Discovery saying, well, Gene wouldn't really approve of this.
No.
You know what I mean? He's not.
No. But at the same time, he has been in space. He can say whatever he wants.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so Keith, I'm not sure if you're aware that you are no longer on screen, even though we can hear you. And Matt Sweatman says, uh-oh, Facebook police found Keith.
Okay. Let me work my magic. Hold on a second here.
It's kind of cool. You look like that. You look like that robot that Jeffrey Combs played, where you just like a flash of light.
Elaine says, I don't pay much
How about
attention
now?
to what
Back?
he says on Twitter.
Yeah.
Back
Yeah, you're
there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. So the whole turning over in the grave thing, huh?
Right. Again, until Elaine's point, and I've thought this a couple of times that there's no way William Shatner sits around tweeting all day.
No.
You know what I mean? He's got people that handle that. You know, which doesn't excuse him. It's still under his name. So he's ultimately, if they say something terrible, he's responsible for it.
Yeah,
but I don't think that William Shatner is sitting around watching Star Trek and tweeting about it all day.
No.
So do you think when he said what he said with Kevin Smith's interview, was he being, you think he was being 100% serious, or you think he was goofing?
I think he was just keeping himself. I think he knew that he would say that, and then it would be headlines for weeks. You know,
right.
I mean, like I said, he's kept himself. And it's not an industry that favors elderly people, but I mean, he's been an older actor my entire life. You know, he was like 50 when I was born. You know, so I mean, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so too. I thought it was a little I thought it was a little bit of maybe he kind of first off you can feel that way because you're the first and people like that you're always going to some people like that will always be kind of precious of that property.
Yeah.
So it's okay if he and it's actually okay if he feels like no Star Trek series ever compares to the original series.
Yeah.
Because in some ways he's right, but I kind of agree with you when he was kind of like, yeah, this and that, and Gene's spinning. I had a lot of conversations with Gene, and I bet he's spinning over in his grave. I think, well, not necessarily. I think Gene would have spun over his grave for some things, but not everything.
And, and Gene almost brought legal action to stop the movie that Shatner directed. So I mean,
Right.
Good point. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Matt Sweatman says Shatner argues with autism activists and Outlander fans all the time. I think it's just trolling. That's such a bizarre pairing of
That really
examples.
is.
Yeah. Well, I know that Shatner supports a charity, and I believe it's Autism Speaks, that there's a lot of autism activists who say that that charity doesn't do good work.
Oh,
And so
really?
I'm not familiar enough with all the details of that to really comment on it. But I will say
Same
I don't
here.
think that Shatner is really running his own Twitter. But at the same time, I do think that he is responsible for what goes out under his name on Twitter. So
100%.
I don't blame anybody for holding anything against him for that.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Right. And, yeah. With Shatner, you can never tell sometimes what's coming from a place of just pure arrogance, or sometimes where he's just kind of a cranky older man, or as you say, sometimes where he knows what he's saying and he knows he's going to get a certain type of reaction. Because one thing he said in an interview with Kevin Smith was funny. And they started they were joking about his age, and he said something to the effect of, "Well, I'm old. I could just die up here on stage." And then that was kind of funny. And Kevin Smith said, "Well, that would be great, sir, because what a great place for you to die." Because it was a paraphrase. It'd be great news. Shatner dies on. And so, And then they did a little riff at the end where they were kind of cursing each other, and they were doing the double whatever on you from Voyage Home. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there is some of that grumpy old man thing. There's some older actors that become very obsessed with their legacy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And like John Cleese is that way. Where John Cleese drives me nuts. John Cleese has turned into the kind of guy that John Cleese used to make fun of.
Exactly.
So
really.
But like no one's coming after you, John Cleese. No one's upset about Faulty Towers and things like that. But he'll still go on about cancel culture and things like that. Like, dude, you're 85 years old and rich and living in the Caribbean somewhere. Like, who cares? But I think Shatner has got some of that as well. Of
absolutely
like trying to make sure they don't get canceled before they get canceled. I guess
Right. George Takei has got some of that as well from his kind of his lingering resentment and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Matt Sweatman is comparing Shatner's behavior to "shit my captain says." Because y'all remember, he starred in that TV show "Shit My Dad Says."
Yeah.
Briefly.
Which co-starred Jean Smart, one of my favorite actresses in the entire world.
That's right. Then they did a movie together. Just a year or so ago? Shatner and Jean Smart.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I pretty much watch anything with Jean Smart in it. So I didn't watch that show for Shatner. I watched it for Jean Smart. Shatner was just a bonus.
Well, we've got about 10 minutes. What do we miss? Anything else anybody wants to circle back to, or final thoughts, or what are you looking forward to?
I do have a question. Since there was not a whole Discovery presence, have we heard enough stuff with Discovery based in the weeks and months leading before this, or do we know much of anything? The only thing I saw online, this was a couple of weeks ago, was Sonequa Martin Green was responding to criticisms of Discovery. And it was one of those where she was it was a whole thing. She responded to the whole woke thing and the thing like that. And her response was pretty much as you expect. It was basically people have a right to their opinions, blah, blah, blah. She's not somebody that's going to wade into that kind of stuff.
Oh, no.
Right.
But other than that, I haven't really seen a lot of Discovery or Prodigy news, and I haven't done all the full Comic-Con coverage, so I didn't know if there's anything that was said about it. Even interesting.
No,
it's more interesting to me that there was nothing on Prodigy, because it shouldn't be too long before we start getting the next set of Prodigy episodes.
And they've dropped some hints about. I mean, I guess the next 10 episodes of Prodigy, they're sort of breaking him down into sort of 10 episode chunks, like the little story arcs. And the next one involves Janeway heavily. Sort of Janeway's after the Protostar. And so it's like a lot of Janeway versus Janeway, because you've got hologram Janeway and then you've got Admiral Janeway, and I'm really looking forward to that. So I'll see I was
Same
hoping to see
here.
some more of that, but they don't want to. They don't want to blow all their publicity this weekend. You know, like
No.
Yeah.
they got to stretch this kind of stuff out. These guys are
Oh,
smart.
yeah.
I mean, you got Star Trek Day on September 8th, so
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
expect Star Trek Day we may get
Mm,
some more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I
Right.
think 100% we'll get. So we'll have to do another one of these
Yeah.
on September 9th to talk about all the stuff that came out on September 8th.
Right.
That's not too far off. That's just a few weeks. Well,
Yeah.
a month and a half-ish. Oh, Matt says Marvel did. Marvel had a bunch of.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they don't do that though, because I mean, I looked at that graphic of like the next 75 Marvel projects, and kind of my eyes just gloss over. You know what I mean? I can't.
Yeah.
I can't plan for what I'm gonna do summer of 2025 or
No.
whenever that thing went to. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Did we want to comment at all about the? I mean, it wasn't really out of Comic-Con, but there was the news just recently. They just announced a release date for the next Star Trek movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But then I
Which-
saw Chris Pine being interviewed. I think it's at Comic-Con, and he was like, "I'd love to hear something about it." I don't know. So
So,
That's what I read too. They said that there was confusion after his statement.
so it's another one of those things where the actors get blind. This is the second time with that same movie where the actors get blindsided by something coming out in the press that they've never heard anything about.
yeah, assuming it's that movie. I mean, did they
Assuming.
confirm that it's a Kelvinverse movie?
I
don't
thought
know.
so. I thought they had, but
They may have. You might be
but
right.
that may be press,
True.
confirming on their
Making an
behalf.
assumption.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, that seems awful quick. But
It
that's
can't
kind of what
possibly.
Paramount does, though. Paramount was like, "All right, great, let's do it and have it out by this date," and then
Yeah.
they just like have to scramble to get it done.
It just doesn't
and then
seem possible.
but they've been doing that for 40 years. I
If
I
there's
don't know
not
how
a-
they're gonna. Yeah, I don't know.
If there's not a script written, and if they haven't already started shooting, it can't be ready by next summer.
I don't see
I
how.
just don't
Unless
see it.
it's some project they're
either.
producing out of the TV department.
Yeah.
If Secret Hideout is producing something because they've got a machine running.
Yeah,
I
I
would
know,
love
that's
if they
true.
produced lower budget, not lower budget as in cheap, but I mean I've said before,
Yeah.
like the 2-part Discovery premiere was more epic than any Star Trek movie I've ever seen. You know, I mean
Yeah.
that you could do a film with the resources they have. I don't know that they're doing this. I would love if they did, but I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, they've got that AR wall. All they have to do is,
Hmm.
schedule Strange New Worlds on Monday and Tuesday, the secret new movie Wednesday and Thursday, get Disco in for a day on Friday. You could get it done.
You know what I would love if it was if the movie was like a movie finale for the TNG crew to follow up the Picard season. I think that would be
Gosh.
I think that would be great. I don't
I
think
could
that's
go
what it
with
is, but I would
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah,
I could
that
go
would
with
be
that.
sweet. That would be
Yeah.
really sweet.
Yeah, they've got them all.
Okay, so what are the chances, does any of us think, of them having gotten Avery Brooks to do some kind of project somehow? And the other super unlikely one is Jolene Blalock, where she wasn't she there on Star Trek Day this past time, like last year?
Okay.
And so that made the speculation like, oh my God, they're going to be doing something with T'Pol.
Mm.
Holy smokes, that would be. I mean, that's 100% speculation.
They
But-
could. I mean, T'Pol could just show up on Strange New Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
You know,
And
and I think. I mean, I was an interview with I just blanked on Phlox's name, his real life name, Billingsley.
John
John
Billingsley?
Billingsley. I kept wanting to say Peter Billingsley, and I was like, it's not the kid from Christmas Story. Yeah, John Billingsley had said that they had reached out to him about
Yeah.
coming back, but he didn't want to do the makeup.
yeah,
I don't know exactly what I think Jolene just sort of got tired of doing it and is a mom and that kind of stuff. I think she may be likelier than Avery Brooks. I think he seems like
Yeah.
he's more over it. But
I
I mean,
agree.
if they had something good and it was like Sirach was involved and they reached
Yeah.
out to Avery, I mean, maybe he would consider it. I don't know.
I-
Who could predict what Avery Brooks is going to do?
Yeah.
No,
You
He's
no,
can't.
gone one year.
Yeah.
I mean, heck.
You can't. You're right, because we're talking about Shatner being sometimes cranky or grumpy old man. Avery Brooks is really just kind of out there. He's really what
Yeah.
you call like
Yeah.
the artiste. He's just different. So you're
Yeah.
right. I could see them going to him and he'll say, "Oh, fine," or I could see him kind of cussing you out, or I could see him playing a piano and 20 minutes later, go, "Did he say no?" Yeah.
I
It
can
just-
100% see that scenario playing out.
Yeah.
How about this? Boimler enters the wormhole and has a vision of Captain Sisko, and it's just Avery Brooks saying whatever he wants to say.
Right.
Oh my God.
Anyway, and then Boimler comes out a changed man. I would be perfectly happy with that.
That would be
Oh,
amazing.
that would be incredible.
Oh my gosh, that would be great.
All right, Chuck, write a script and submit it.
Right.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, this is going to be in your next season. Just
Right.
FYI.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Well, we're toward the end of the show and we start talking about that. And I've got to be honest, y'all start talking about that. It honestly just makes me wish I could bring everybody back. I'd love to see Enterprise come back.
Me too.
Given our interview with Jason Lee, I would, my gosh, I could see them come back even as cartoons, animated Enterprise folks. I mean, because I just love all those folks. It'd be great to bring some of them back and see what happened to them.
Yeah.
And so that's one reason I'm really excited about Picard. You don't really get closure a lot of times with characters.
Mhm.
So that would be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to novel series carrying on and telling you a story about these characters and where they go down the road, and then a comic book series, but it's not the same as having the actors involved.
Absolutely.
Because you associate those characters so much with the actors that played them on screen, and you know, and you just feel that sort of like that love for those characters because of the actors.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it may be strange, but do you know in all of Tractum, what I'd like to see filmed most live is, and this is just how my mind works, more than any Trek in all these 50 years and stuff, I would really like to see Voyagers return home after they got home.
Yeah.
Because there was so much there. I mean, I know I read the stuff and I think they basically gave all the Maquis a blanket pardon, but I would just like to see the stuff. And honestly, here we go, Jerry Ryan, you can plug her in. What happened to Seven where she ended up as a ranger all those years later? Yeah, how did she fit in? There's so much stuff to see, and I just like this. I'd love to see that. The ending of Voyager was cool, but I'm always one of those people who likes to see the ending after the ending. Like everybody says the Lord of the Rings trilogy ended with way too many endings. I thought it was fine and perfect because of how the book went. So I just love to see them welcome Janeway back. And did she ever get back with her old love? I guess not. And that would be my fantasy.
Yeah. Well, we may get some of that. I mean, Prodigy has not set that many years after Voyager got back, and now we've got Chakotay involved. We've got Janeway involved. I keep putting my hand in Veronica's face on the camera. I mean, we may get some. We can make it some of that.
Yeah. That'd be all right.
All right. Any closing thoughts before we wrap it?
More Star Trek.
All right, Alan, where can people find more of you?
I've got another podcast. It's called Modern Musicology. We recorded this week's episode last night. It's all about songs that should have been singles that were never released as singles. And my co-hosts are so intelligent about music, and this conversation went in directions that I never would have predicted. And it ended up being a really cool discussion, and I can't wait for people to hear it. And then I've also got my little publishing company, CosmicPress.com. CosmicPress.com.
And how about you, Keith?
I'm on the standard social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, maybe another podcast someday, but that may be a long few weeks, months in the future. So stay tuned.
Awesome. And how about us, Veronica?
FeltNerdy.com.
And
Monkeying Around, a podcast about the monkeys.
Yep. And we're closing in on our the release of our interview with Ron McNeil from the Fab Four, which is really a lot of fun.
That's so cool.
Great.
Yep. And then as far as Felt Nerdy goes, we're getting ramped up for Dragon Con. We've got 6 weeks. We're prepping 4 shows and late night slam piece and panels, and we're gonna be busy. So we're about to be in Puppet Factory over here. So follow Felt Nerdy, and you can see updates and that kind of stuff. And me breathing into a paper bag, that kind of thing. All right, Veronica, do you have a closing for us?
Yes.
Okay. She's prepared.
I thought of this like a minute ago. Okay. Okay. We're gonna start off quiet and then raise it really loud. Lower decks. Lower decks.
Lower decks.
Lower decks. Lower decks. Lower decks. Lower decks. Lower decks.
Lower decks.
Good night, everybody.
All right, y'all. Take care. See you soon.